Heya Cryptozens. Tonight's show, Galaxy Digital versus BitGo. Coin Center may challenge tornado cash sanctions, and Federal Reserve proposes pathway for crypto banks. It's 10 p.m. Pacific time. The date is August 15th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nikodemus, and I will be your host. The cover model, mascot, and co-host for this podcast is Tex. And together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. So today, Galaxy Digital terminated BitGo's acquisition. They had been working on this deal for over a year, and so it came to pass that Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital announced that they wanted out of this deal. Specifically, Galaxy terminated the acquisition over a breach of contract. That's according to Galaxy's announcement today. Now let's talk about the deal. It's the purchase of BitGo by Galaxy Digital for $1.2 billion. According to the agreement, BitGo's shareholders were supposed to receive $44.8 million in new shares from Galaxy's common stocks and $265 million in cash. Now, according to them, Galaxy has exercised its right, and whether it's a right or not is going to come up in a bit, but they say that they have the right to terminate the deal, and that right comes from the acquisition agreement itself. They're saying that BitGo failed to deliver. They were supposed to give them audited financial statements for 2021, and they didn't do it. That was supposed to happen by July 31st of this year. And they're saying because of the nature of the termination, no termination fee applies. So this deal was publicly announced back in May of 2021. It was part of Galaxy's plans to get publicly listed in the U.S. There were multiple delays, but it was thought that this deal was done, that Galaxy would finalize the transaction by the end of this year. In April, Galaxy said that they would agree to a $100 million breakup fee if it fails to acquire BitGo by the end of the year, under, quote, certain circumstance. So now they're saying it's not a valid reverse break fee. And as I said, this was part of their plan to go public in the U.S., and that plan is still on, according to Novogratz. They're still planning on getting listed on NASDAQ. Novogratz said, Galaxy remains positioned for success and to take advantage of strategic opportunities to grow in a sustainable manner. We are committed to continuing our process to list in the United States. So they've got plans. And part of those plans involved becoming a Delaware-based company. So they're working on a reorg to their operations to make that happen. They said previously that they were expecting that the Delaware domestication would go through between Q2 and Q4 of this year. However, the United States Securities Exchange Commission still has to review it. Which, weird thing about the Delaware domestication angle. Back in April, there was a discussion about the plan to buy BitGo. And it was around that time that Galaxy agreed to the reverse termination fee of $100 million. That's when Novogratz said that the deal was expected to go through somewhere between Q2 and Q4 of 2022. Well, at the time, he was talking about the timing of things when he said, quote, the acquisition is expected to close immediately following the domestication of Galaxy Digital as a Delaware corporation, subject to approval by the company's shareholders, as well as certain other acquisition-related closing conditions and regulatory approvals. The company anticipates the domestication will become effective between Q2 and Q4 of 2022, subject to the ongoing SEC review process. Now, Galaxy said they're remaining focused on launching new products. In fact, they've got a new one that's supposed to go out soon that's for the institutional investors. It's called Galaxy One Prime, and it's going to provide services like trading, lending, derivatives. That's in addition to providing custodial services. Well, now BitGo, they have feelings on the subject. And they're going after Galaxy Digital for $100 million. And they're not even being shy about it. They dropped this info on a Monday blog post. And in that post, they called Galaxy's actions improper. They're claiming breach of contract too. Remember, that's what Galaxy is claiming on BitGo. And they're lawyering up. BitGo has employed law firm Quinn Emanuel to assist them in collecting that $100 million fee. Specifically, they're pursuing legal action against Galaxy for not paying $100 million reverse break fee that it promised in March of 2022. So that's the breach that they're claiming. Galaxy is saying, hey, BitGo, you didn't get me the documents that you promised. The deal's off. Meanwhile, BitGo is saying, hey, Galaxy, you just said the deal's off, so you owe me $100 million. Well, BitGo isn't buying this. They're saying this is all Galaxy's fault. Their partner, R. Brian Timmons, said, quote, the attempt by Mike Novogratz and Galaxy Digital to blame the termination on BitGo is absurd. Either Galaxy owes BitGo a $100 million termination fee, as promised, or it has been acting in bad faith and faces damages of that much or more. The whole he said, she said continued. In a statement, Galaxy Digital said, quote, we believe BitGo's claims are without merit and we will defend ourselves vigorously. BitGo did not provide certain BitGo financial statements needed by Galaxy for its SEC filing. Galaxy's board of directors then made the decision to exercise its contractual right to terminate. Now, there's been some question raised about Galaxy's fiscal fitness. Timmons said, quote, it is public knowledge that Galaxy reported a $550 million loss this past quarter, that its stock is performing poorly, and that both Galaxy and Mr. Novogratz have been distracted by the Luna fiasco. And part of that is true. Galaxy did report a Q2 loss of over $500 million. They said that that was due to, quote, unrealized losses. Now, some of those losses undoubtedly came from what Timmons referred to as the Luna fiasco. Novogratz was famously deep into Luna, going so far as to getting a big Luna tattoo. Now, when that imploded, Galaxy lost billions of investor dollars. So that's a question worth asking, right? Is the Luna fiasco part of it? Is Galaxy Digital looking to preserve capital so they don't want to buy BitGo if they don't have to? Because, $1.2 billion is a lot of scratch. They might not be feeling it right now. At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is $1.15 trillion. It's down slightly, 1.19% in 24. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin down 1.17%, Ethereum down 2.54%, Tether, USDC, and Binance Coin up 0.48%. Now, this isn't a done deal, of course, but Coin Center is considering taking up the Tornado Cash thing in court. Now, specifically, they would be arguing that these sanctions on a protocol, on a tool, that's an entirely new legal precedent. So that's why they're considering challenging the decisions made recently by the U.S. Treasury, OFAC, the Office of Foreign Assets Control. Now, this is in response to the fact that OFAC put Tornado Cash on their list of specially designated nationals. So Coin Center's position is that OFAC's actions present a clear violation of Americans' constitutionally guaranteed rights to due process and free speech. In the past, computer code written by a developer has been considered speech and therefore is protected under the Constitution. Now, I've been a coder for years and I didn't know that until recently. Now, further, Coin Center is alleging that OFAC didn't handle these sanctions correctly, that they didn't consider the consequences of those sanctions on ordinary American citizens. They said, quote, we intend to work with other digital rights advocates to pursue administrative relief. We are also now exploring bringing a challenge to this action in court. Now, part of this comes from perceived differences in the treatment of those involved. Specifically, how the treatment of Tornado Cash should be different from another example, Blender.io. You see, not only did they sanction Tornado Cash, they arrested the guy who wrote the code. Now, both Blender.io and Tornado Cash were flagged by Treasury due to ties to North Korean entities. These include both the DPRK, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and the hacker group Lazarus. Now, the difference is, when they went after Blender, that was an identifiable group of people who were providing Bitcoin mixing services. Tornado Cash doesn't have a person doing this. There's no people involved. It's just code. In fact, the way this code was created, it literally cannot be changed or edited or altered in any way. Once it was deployed, it moved beyond decisions like which customers to serve and which ones to deny. It's beyond all that. And this U.S. government has already brought into the idea. The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, is part of Treasury. And FinCEN made that same distinction in the past, recognizing the differences between providing a service of anonymizing money and providing software that can anonymize money. Coin Center said, quote, FinCEN's guidance goes to show what we are suggesting here is not novel or strange. The global NFT market cap is down 1.71%. Sales volume is down 2.59% in 24 hours. According to CoinMarketCap, the top 5 NFT collections by sales volume are Bored Apes, followed by Mutant Apes, Otherdeed, Clonex, and Azuki. Now keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. Surprisingly bullish news out of the Federal Reserve today, because the Federal Reserve said that they're publishing their final guidance for new types of financial institutions to access what's called master accounts. If you're an American company and you want to get into the global payment industry, you're going to want one of these master accounts. What this announcement means is that the U.S. is one step closer. One step closer to possibly allowing special purpose depository institutions like Custodia and Kraken Bank, give them access to those master accounts. Now, having one of those accounts means that they don't need intermediary banks anymore. Last year, the Fed proposed guidance on this topic, in that they opened up the request for comment process. They got nearly 300 responses. That led to a second public feedback round earlier this year. Now, Lael Brainerd is a Fed vice chairperson, and she said, quote, the new guidelines provide a consistent and transparent process to evaluate requests for Federal Reserve accounts and access to payment services in order to support a safe, inclusive, and innovative payment system. So what they're saying, and this is similar to what was proposed last year, they're talking about a category system. Creating these categories lets the Federal Reserve more closely tailor their requirements to the type of business involved, rather than a one-size-fits-all approach. So they're talking about a 3-tiered approach, breaking them up based on both what kind of business they are and how much supervision they need. Each tier represents a more demanding review process. So according to this then, Tier 1 banks are federally insured. Tier 2 banks are not federally insured, but they're still, quote, subject to prudential supervision by a federal banking agency. And then beyond that, you've got the 3rd-tier banks. These are the firms that are, quote, not federally insured and not subject to prudential supervision by a federal banking agency. So that would be something like a Kraken Bank, any of the Wyoming crypto banks. So as part of their announcement, the central bankers revealed they'd received comments after publishing their initial proposed guidance as well as their updated guidance. It looks like over 70 unique individuals filled out the form letter. Quote, many commenters, on the other hand, recommended that the proposed guidelines should provide a more challenging path for institutions with novel charters to gain access to accounts and services. Many of these commenters argued that the proposed guidelines should subject non-federally insured institutions to the same types of requirements as apply to federally insured depository institutions, regardless of the institution's business model. Now, Custodia and Kraken both applied for master account access last year. This was before the Fed proposed their initial setup. And both companies got routing numbers earlier this year, which is a huge step towards getting access to a master account. It's a huge step, but it's no guarantee. As we reported back in June, Custodia sued the Fed for violating procedural mandate. They only have 1 year to decide whether or not to grant access, and they've taken much longer than that. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. You take care of yourselves, but take care of each other too. We'll see you tomorrow night.